Alex. I have a Instagram and YouTube Love Sugar show, so I want to thank you for taking your time for doing the interview.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I see you have a friend on your lap.
Yeah, well, it's usually what happens when I'm down here. There's instruments everywhere, and one just gets picked up.
Well, that's awesome. It's always good to have like a hobby or something you really enjoy.
Yeah.
So the first question that I ask anyone that I ever interview is, how's everything going in your world? Not just musically, but also in your personal life as well.
Things are good. Life is good. It's a beautiful day out today, and I get to spread the joy of Chris Cornell music. So, things are good, and it's for a great cause. And yeah, things are good.
Awesome. I also see an orange amp in the background. I have one of those. I love it.
I do. Yeah. Yeah, that's my little I love that little amp. It just sounds good.
And it lasts forever. They like live on forever.
Yeah, yeah.
So, talking about the Chris Cornell, there's a lot of questions I want to go over with you. And the first one being, what was it about Death Wishes specifically that made you want to be a part of this?
Well, that was one of the songs I chose from the very beginning when I knew King Ultramega was going to be a thing. Um, there's a whole backstory to King Ultramega, but once I started selecting songs and got serious, that was always at the top of the list. Like all the songs I selected, there was a very personal reason why I chose the songs that I chose.
Hmm.
And being Dead Wishes, that was always a song. It's funny. The more I talk to people and the more interviews and whatnot I do, everyone thought that song was a King Ultramega original. And it's crazy to think that not a lot of people know about that song, or even more so know about his last solo record, which was Higher Truth. So,
Hmm.
but that song in particular was always a song I went to and would play anytime I needed to come down, meaning
Yeah.
if I was just kind of at a point where I needed to mellow out, whether it was mentally or physically, if I was exercising, cardio, running, I do a lot of hiking, running, a lot of stuff like that. Anytime I needed to wind down, that song would go, I would put that song on first. And
Hmm.
anytime that I was mentally fried or just here and I needed to bring myself down mentally, that would be a song I would put on first. I don't know why. The lyrics, if you read the lyrics to that song and listen to the lyrics, it's not the happiest song, but for whatever reason, it put me in a positive place and it put me in a good mental state. And that's why I chose that song to record because just how it would make me feel on the personal level.
So it's kind of like a cool down at a gym where you're like cooling down, trying to get your heart rate back to normal, just kind of like that for you.
That amongst other things, just any time I needed to get into a place of mellow, calm, cool, collect, take a breather, chill out, whatever it might be, that was the go-to song.
Awesome. And I know you mentioned there was like a little backstory to King Ultra Mega.
Yeah, I mean, King Ultramega shouldn't even be here. You
But you
know,
were.
um, it really started out of the pandemic where Bill Kelleher and I wanted to jam a song together. And we just said, hey, let's do Rusty Cage. And then that turned into me talking to Kim Thale from Soundgarden to him recording one of his songs. And then,
Hmm.
then me putting a timeout on the entire thing, going, do I really want to go down this road? Do,
Yeah.
do, that's some hollowed ground stuff there with Chris. And why am I just doing this? So the day I tried to live, the song that we released in November, that was
Hmm.
recorded fully in 2000, early 2021, and it sat dormant for all those years because I didn't know it's a tall order. Number one, you're covering yet another Soundgarden song
Hmm.
Number two, how are people going to think of it? Number three, Kim Thayil's on it. So there's a lot of things there. And I didn't know if I wanted to venture down that road. And then on top of that, when we recorded The Day I Tried to Live, I had
Hmm.
Charlie record drums for a few different songs. So I had all these drum tracks. I had this complete song, and it was like, what am I doing? Why am I doing? No. And and years would go on where every few months I would get a text or a call from Kim, kind of going, "Hey, what's going on with that song?" And it really was in January 2025 where King Ultramega became real. Where I had a meeting with the record label.
Hmm.
They knew about it, and they encouraged me to do it. And Soundgarden's management encouraged me to move forward. And Kim Thale and all the members of Soundgarden encouraged this. And Vicky Cornell, Chris's wife, she encouraged. So I had this backing from everybody who knew Chris more than anybody. And that's when I said, okay, if we do this, we're going to donate 100% of the money to, at that time, we didn't know the charity, but we're going to donate the money, and we'll see what we can do. We'll take it one song at a time. And here we are 6 songs later. It's pretty crazy. And as I've been telling people, doing this project has literally made me neurotic because I'm really putting a lot of pressure on myself, probably more so than I should, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of pressure, especially a song like Preaching the End of the World and Dead Wishes. I keep hearing these things in my head, and I'm trying to get what's in here in my head out into an audible sense. Uh,
Hmm.
and my family, keeps joking with me, going, "This is becoming your pet sounds, this record," and because there's just so much going on. There's so many layers to this and to all these songs.
And I know you mentioned that 100% of the sales that are made are going to a profit. Did you decide that, or how did that kind of happen?
When we were trying to figure out what the charity and who the charity was, I was having conversations with Kim Dale. I was having conversations with Soundgarden management, my record
Hmm.
label, and just people I was close with, trying to pick the right um, charitable place. And
Hmm.
the one common ground that kept coming up was Music Cares. Kim has been donating personally to Music Cares for a long time.
Oh, wow.
I learned that Chris donated a lot to Music Cares when he was alive, and he still does. The family still does. They're still very involved with Music Cares. And that just seemed to make sense because, Soundgarden, the band as they are now, the surviving members are very much involved and the estate's involved. It just seemed like the perfect place. And I knew of Music Cares.
Yeah.
Once I really dived in and really discovered what they truly did, it was 100% yes, they're the one. And that's kind of how we got, got in with them, and it's been awesome.
And for people who don't know what Music Cares is, can you kind of give them a little bit of an overview?
Sure, it's the Academy's, it's the Grammys charitable nonprofit, and basically what Music Cares does is they provide support, financial assistance, recovery, mental health awareness. There's a lot of different sectors to Music Cares for musicians. Whether you're a local musician, you work in the music industry, you're a touring musician, you're a crew member, truck driver. It doesn't matter what you are. We've had a lot of musicians that left us due to this, and Chris,
Yeah.
unfortunately, being one of them. That we want, at least for me, I want people to understand that there is help out there. And it's important. It's important. Mental health is extremely important, and as the world goes, it just seems to be getting crazier and crazier out there, and it's not easy fighting these demons alone. It's very
Very
difficult.
true.
It's very difficult, and there is help out there, and it's important, and that's That's why I'm doing this, and that's why I agreed to go down this road is because if this helps somebody, and that's what it's all about.
Well, that's awesome. So I want to talk a little bit about the album itself. I know Chris's music often has like a lot of emotional weight beneath the surface. How did you approach supporting that atmosphere mentally and also musically?
Well, I'll tell you, I've learned a lot about myself as a musician and a person going through this process and this recording process.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before Rusty Cage, I've never learned a Soundgarden song before on any instrument. And then I
Oh, well.
learned, and then I learned Rusty Cage. It was awesome. And then we got into, the day I tried to live, we recorded that back in early 2021. Then once I started dissecting the songs and peeling back the layers instrumentally, vocally, lyrically, it was like, wow, there's some deep stuff here. And then I've always been, Chris Cornell has been one of the few musical constants my entire life. Whether it's Soundgarden, Audioslave, Temple of the Dog, all his solo work.
Mm-hmm.
He's been one of those very few musicians that's just been constant since I've been listening to music. We all go through our moods and our phases, if you will. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you might be a Maiden fan for a while and then you kind of get out of it, or you might be a Slayer fan or a blues fan or gospel or country or whatever it might be. Chris Cornell is just literally been constant for me since I can remember, since I can
Mm-hmm.
remember listening to music. And his solo work, I love just as much, if not probably a little bit more than Soundgarden. His first solo record, Euphoria Morning, to me is a masterpiece. It's a masterclass in songwriting, musicianship, lyrical writing, chord progression, chord structure. And that's where I really learned, especially in recording Preaching, The End of the World, which was the single that came out before Dead Wishes. That's
Mm-hmm.
where recording that song is really where I kind of went, wow, man, this is deep. What he was doing, whole nother level. I mean, he was on a whole nother level.
Yeah. So the bass work on this album, it feels really like restrained and intentional at times. Was there like a conscious effort to serve the mood of the song rather than overplay it?
Yeah, 100%. I did not, the last thing I wanted to do was overplay anything. I kept some songs pretty straightforward as they were originally recorded on the bass. Some songs I did, if you listen to Say Hello to Heaven, completely different bass line. I mean, it's completely different. Where a song like Be Yourself is almost identical.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I learned that from Kenny, having, Kenny Aronoff, who is a legend, literally a drum recording legend. He's played with everybody. I learned that from him, and he would tell me it's not what you play, it's what you don't play. And that really kind of stuck with me. And it's just,
Mm-hmm.
what's best for the song, what's serving the song. And if people want to hear me bass wank and shred, they could kind of go over into Metal Allegiance land and hear all kinds of stuff going on. But the goal here is what's best for the song, and it's not even just bass; it's every instrument.
Mm-hmm.
I've been picking the guests. I'm not trying to look for the biggest name and just to get a name on a record. It's who's going to best serve the song and
Mm-hmm.
kind of been the formula and why I think it's been working because it's if you listen to the songs, every song sounds very cohesive because
Yeah.
it's what's best for the song.
Yeah, that's something I noticed. Like it doesn't feel overplayed. It feels, I don't know, like you can really feel like the emotion in the playing, like you're really enjoying it. And I think there are some bands, they're great, but I don't know, it's just a different feel when you can like feel that the artist really puts their soul and heart into a song.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And, obviously I'm playing bass on all the tracks, but I'm also producing every track.
Hmm.
My fingerprints are on every instrument, from the drum recording to all the guitars. I mean, the last song, Dead Wishes, there's violins and cellos I mean, orchestral, I know nothing about orchestral instruments. I
Yeah.
mean, literally, I know absolutely nothing, but I trust my ears enough to know what sounds good and what probably shouldn't be there. And there are things I just hear, especially with these two previous songs where I'm
Yeah.
hearing something. How do I get it out? I don't know how to vocabularize that besides no, yes, no, more, less, this, so I'm trying to do that the best I can. But yeah, I mean, my handprints are on every instrument, on every volume knob, trying to make it the best I could make it with my ears.
So with this album, I know you worked with like multiple artists. Can you kind of go into the process of did you choose them? How did you kind of select who you wanted?
Yeah, again, it came. Took one song at a time. That's otherwise I would be completely overwhelmed. Nothing would get released, and I
Yeah.
would just fucking no. So in order to do this properly, it was take one song at a time. So Rusty Cage was done, right? The day I tried to live was done, right? And I knew I had two more songs of Charlie's drums. One of
Mhm.
those was Say Hello to Heaven. All right, that was the next one I was going to work on. Who could sing that and deliver that? And the first person that came to my head was Richie Kotzen. And I asked him, I explained to him what King Ultramega was, what we were doing, why we were doing it, and he delivered, I believe, a beautiful, beautiful version of the song. His guitar playing is awesome. His singing is unbelievable. So, I would just work on one song at a time. And that's the only way I could do this where I could give 100% of myself. Because if I'm going back and forth between songs,
Yeah.
one song's going to get less of me. And I didn't want that. I just, again, it's just one song at a time. And if you look at how these have been released, you know, some months it's every month. Sometimes there was, I think it was November to February. We went through a long gap there without releasing anything because after when we released the day I tried to live in November, the next song after that, Preaching Into the World, which I explained, that was a journey.
Yeah.
That song, it was, so it took a minute to get it right, and then obviously, Dead Wishes after that, and Preaching came out in February, Dead Wishes came out in May. So there's again a little bit of a gap in there, and it's just me just getting it right to where I believe in it 100%.
And what do you hope the fans take away from the album?
I hope there's a few takeaways. Number one is what a genius Chris was. And hopefully they learn more of his music. I'm glad, now I'm pumped about Dead Wishes because so many people don't even know the song. So maybe they'll discover his original version. Maybe they'll go and listen to the whole Higher Truth record, which to me is brilliant. So if that's spreading the Cornell world out there, that's awesome. That's number one takeaway. Tied for number one takeaway is if this music helps somebody,
Mhm.
whether it's on an emotional level, mental level, whatever it might be. So there's it's more than a project. It's kind of been like a calling now where, you're using music um, to help people in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form.
Well, that's awesome. So, since we're on the subject of Chris, what do you think made his music connect so deeply with musicians across so many different genres and also generations?
Honest. He was honest. He didn't hide nothing. He wore his heart on his sleeve. If you listen to certain Soundgarden songs, they'll fit right in the metal world beautifully. But
Hmm.
he's the only artist I could think of that will make you want to go into a mosh pit and run crazy and get into it. And then the very next song, he could make you cry like a baby.
Hmm.
Not many people that could do that, where he commands a stage and it's metal to it's like almost country sad, romanticizing music. Or it's just there's not many people who could do that. And he had a gift, not only vocally, but just the way his brain worked musically. And he was honest, and I think that's why he was such a great musician. If you listen to the last Soundgarden record in the 90s, which was Down on the Upside,
Hmm.
listen to that record. Listen to songs like Burden in My Head and Pretty Noose, Ty Cobb's, songs like that. You could hear sprinkles of what would become his first solo record in Euphoria Morning. You could hear, at least for me, I hear those elements. I hear where Chris was going as a musician. And
Hmm.
I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if Soundgarden pigeonholed him in. I don't know. I'm not sure, but it seemed to me that he had a lot more he wanted to say and do musically than Soundgarden. Um,
Hmm.
if obviously I was sad when Soundgarden broke up in the 90s. I was a kid. I mean, I was a teenager right in the middle of all that, and it sucked. But when
Yeah.
Euphoria Morning came out, I was like, wow, this record's amazing. And it just steamrolled into Audioslave and to more solo works and to Soundgarden getting back together. And then towards the end there, you were getting the best of Chris. You were getting Soundgarden and you were getting his solo work at the same time, which was awesome. Uh,
Yeah.
so he was an honest artist. He was very honest with his craft.
And with this, since you've been picking out all the musicians, you've been producing it, do you think that's helped you as an artist grow?
100% invaluable. I've been learning every day. Um, just I've been learning about myself as a person too. This experience has taught me a lot about myself. It's taught me about patience. It's taught me how to be a better musician. It's trained my ears better, I believe. It's taught me how to go outside of the box thinking. There's a lot of different things that this experience has taught me that I don't think I would have gotten anywhere else. Um,
Yeah.
because I've been doing this for a long time now, and I've never had these experiences that I've been having in the studio, and in conversations that I've been having with fellow musicians and whatnot, and engineers. And it's been awesome. It's really been awesome.
Well, that's great. So I have to ask $1 million question. Is this a one-time project for King Ultramega, or is this something that it's going to be a trend? Is it going to be like another album? What's next?
Well, the goal right now is to record and release 10 songs. Six are done.
Hmm.
Six are done and out. Two of them are in the can, ready to go. And then I'm working on the final two. And as all the songs come, they're all going to accumulate into one record, full length record that all 10 songs will be on. If I could get to that point and actually hold a physical copy of a record, I might be able to sleep really good at night and breathe because what a journey. It's where do we been so far? A 6-year journey of ups and downs.
Hmm.
Um, And then I'll let it breathe for a minute and see. If people dig it and want to hear more, awesome. I'll never say never. My goal
Hmm.
right now is finishing the next uh, batch of songs and getting this full-length record out.
And last question here, is there anything you'd like to say to anyone interested in this project or anyone who is interested, I guess, in listening to the singles as they release?
Yeah, I mean, stream them as much as humanly possible. If you go on the King Ultramega website or even the Soundgarden website, you could buy a two-song LP right here. And again, 100% of the proceeds are going where you could probably see the music cares right there. This is on the Soundgarden's web store, King Ultramega website. Every penny matters, and it's going to a great cause.
Well, that's awesome. And for anyone watching this interview, of course, I'll put all the links down below. And of course, there's only 6 singles out, but it sounds like there's more in the making. Just so people, I guess, have an idea, do you have any idea when the full album will be out, when the next singles will be out, or is it kind of like you guys just have to wait and see?
Normally, I would say it's wait and see, but I could tell you the next single's coming out in June.
Okay.
That's
M-
next month. So yeah,
Maybe beginning and middle.
middle. I would say in the
Okay.
middle. I would say in the middle of June, and then this, and then again in July. So we have June and July. You're going to be getting some pretty cool tunes, and then it's on me to finish two more.
Are you able to tell us which songs they are, or
That I
that's
can't
like
do.
secretive?
No, that
Hints, what
can't
it
do.
starts with?
Can't do that.
Hey guys, I at least try to get us a little bit more information. You know, I gotta ask or at least try to push a little bit.
Here's what I can tell you. We're going old school. Su-
Okay.
Super, super old school. And I'll just leave it there.
Well, awesome. Sounds like a mystery to figure out. Did you have any final words for anyone who was on the album or anyone in general that you'd like to thank? The virtual floor is yours.
No, I just want to appreciate you and your support and whomever listens and streams and buys. Like I said, it's going to a great cause.